Weave us together in unity and love. The Christ in me welcomes the Christ in you this beautiful, beautiful morning. We know wherever we are, God is, and God is love. So wherever we are surrounded by, infused with love, love, love. Good morning again. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our speaker this morning. It is our honor and privilege to have with us Mr. Max Brown. Max was a theater major at Western Michigan University. He completed the pre-ministerial program at Unity Village, and from 1996 to 1998, he served as the spiritual leader at Unity Unity by the Lake in St. Joe, a spiritual community that he helped found. And from 2005 to 2007, Max served as Director of Activities for Unity of Kalamazoo. His hobbies include painting, theater, and being involved in men's group work. So let's welcome this morning Mr. Max Brown. And Max, one of the things that we do wonderfully well here at Unity on the Lakeshore is celebrate by singing, and we're going to do that right now. Let's sing.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
Oh, good morning again on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday here at Unity on the Lake Shore. Is there anyone here for the first time? If you'd raise your hand, please, and keep your hands raised. We promise we're not going to ask you to do anything, but we would like to share some information with you, greet you, and welcome you to Unity on the Lake Shore. Jerry, we have some visitors. Hold your hands up, please. You'll notice on the packet you received there is a card asking you for contact information. We'd like to keep in touch with you because always there are a variety of activities that we offer here at Unity on the Lake Shore, and we'd like you to know that you are always welcome, and we'd like to be able to share those events with you. So if you'd complete the card and drop it perhaps in the offering basket when it comes around, that would be wonderful. Again, welcome to Unity on the Lake Shore. We have a variety of announcements. As you know, there are a number of them listed on the back of your bulletin. I'd like to highlight just a few. Tomorrow, the 8th at 5:30, remember, it is happy hour with Reverend G. Reverend G will meet anyone and everyone over at Everyday People, just across the street from Beery Field. So tomorrow, 5:30, happy hour with Reverend G. On Wednesday the 10th and Wednesday the 17th, of course, from 6 to 7, we have Course in Miracles, from 7 to 7:25, meditation, and from 7:30 to 9, Reverend G offers her nonviolent communication class. I know that you've heard us encourage your participation in that class, but there probably is no more life-changing a class than nonviolent communication. So please, one and all, come out beginning this coming Wednesday for that class. Now, Raj reminded me this morning that not only is this coming Thursday, the 11th, our second Douglas Social, but there will be 3 in a row, the next 3 Thursdays. So Roger says, please offer cobblers, offer setup, tear down help, help during the social itself. If you can't help, come by, or both. So, Douglas Socials, next 3 Thursdays, please. Also, a quick reminder, Sandy has placed a file box that is down on the table in the community room. Please remember to leave your membership renewal cards in that box as soon as possible, please. That would help us out greatly. Also, a quick reminder that we do have a membership meeting after next week's service. We need to take a look at refinancing our mortgage to save us money. So immediately following service next week, we will meet to discuss that mortgage refinancing. Mark your calendars in August. On the 7th of August, we are going to have Swami Vivekananda, who is going to be doing a program entitled Spirituality, Peace, and Progress. And then on the 10th and 11th of August, we're going to welcome Martha Creek. On the 10th, Martha will be offering a program, Thriving Lives, Thriving Congregations. And then that Sunday morning, the 11th, she will be our guest speaker and then offer a workshop entitled Loving What Is. And those of you who are familiar with Byron Katie know the Loving What Is work. Very, very powerful work. So we encourage you to join us on the 10th and the 11th. Are there any other quick announcements?
Barbara, you might just mention that we're going to be going over the financial during the service next week.
Yes, one of the things that we're going to be doing during the service next week is for a few moments is we are going to share with the congregation a financial update. We promised that earlier this winter when we had a meeting that we would again meet once everyone was was back, and we are going to share some very, very important financial information with you during service next week. Any other quick announcements? Yes, Marie.
We were talking about having Christmas in July, and I think that's the last Sunday in July when we have our picnic, our potluck. And that's to bring things that, paper towels and that type of thing, things that we can use in the church.
Okay, a potluck on the last Sunday in July, and we are going to celebrate our Christmas in July. I believe that Reverend G shared a list in the e-blast, and I know that that will go out again. Thank you, Marie. Any others? Okay, this time then, I would like to invite Martin to come forward, please, to share with us about the 12 Powers color for July. Martin?
Many people consider 12 to be a mystical number, a number of completion, wholeness. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, wrote a book entitled The 12 Powers of Man, in which he describes the various aspects of our power of co-creation, our free will, and how we can experience life. And 12 are the hours of the day. 12 is how many months in a year. The 12 tribes of Israel, 12 apostles, and even more mystical for some, 12 donuts in a dozen. For July, the 12th power is understanding. The color is gold. It's represented by the Apostle Thomas. Understanding is my ability to know that God stands under all things. Understanding is my knowing how to accomplish.
Thank you, Martin. And at this time, it is my privilege to welcome our friend, Carol, who is going to be sharing some special music with us.
I think this is familiar enough to folks by now that you can sing it with me almost as a hymn. We are in good company for the journey home. Now the lamp is lit in each of us for one another. We're in good company for the journey home. And as the light is given us, we give it to each other. We're in good company for
each Sunday, we have a tradition of lighting the Christ candle here. It gives us a moment to reflect on that spark of divinity within each of us. So, may we make a choice today to unveil our divine nature and become a catalyst for peace in this world. And so it is.
Our vision here at Unity on the Lakeshore, let's share it together. Every life, a spiritually transformed life, and let that begin with our own. At this time, I'd like to invite Diane to come forward to share our daily word.
Good morning. Just one little announcement that didn't get mentioned. I just want to remind you that the Board of Trustees provided all your goodies downstairs, and to all our visitors and guests, please join us downstairs in the community room. The daily word for today is joy, and the affirmation is, my joy is complete in spirit. If I am searching for someone or something outside me to make me happy, it's time to shift my attention inward. I may be discontented with what is happening or not happening in my life, but my life circumstances do not define my happiness. I choose instead to embark on an inner journey to joy. I simply need to, joy is always within me as the gladness of my soul, waiting to burst forth. Sometimes I simply need to give myself permission to experience joy. The joy of spirit is as much a part of me as my heart and soul. I have joy in knowing the Spirit of God is always present, and I carry this with me every moment of the day. I'm not waiting for something to happen to me or for me. My joy is already complete in spirit. And from John 15, verse 11, I have said these things to you so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete.
Thank you, Diane. Let us share together our affirmation of faith. There is only one presence and one power in me and in the universe, God the good, omnipotent. And at this time, let's share together, lead me to the light.
Way Take a deep breath. Relax. Put your feet firm on the floor. Feel yourself supported firmly and lovingly by your chair. Bring your attention to your breath. And as you breathe in all of the goodness in this room, all of the goodness of the words and spirit of these people in this room with you. Hold that goodness there and breathe out all of the tension. As you exhale, let all of the cares of the morning, the week, fade away as you feel safe and supported in this room. Breathe in again, a deep breath, and find that spot in your body that's holding the tension. And as you exhale, breathe out that tension and release that spot in yet one place in your body. Breathing in the goodness, exhaling the tension. Find your peace, for there is peace in you. When we take the time to find it, there is peace. We are finding and knowing ourselves. Knowing yourself is the first practice of love. Breathe. Knowing yourself is the first practice of love. To love is to accept ourselves as we really are. Can we do that today? Breathe in the goodness and accept ourselves as we really are. Breathe and know that you accept yourself as you are, our suffering and our happiness, our cares and our joy. There is no one in the universe more dear to us than ourselves. As we find the beloved in ourselves, we stop making others suffer. As we find the beloved in ourselves, we stop making others suffer. The moment you see how important it is to love yourself, you stop making others suffer. Breathe. Where did the tension creep back into your body? Breathe out that tension and relax. As we remind ourselves, may I practice mindful living. May my love be translated into effective action. Throughout the day today, remind yourself as you breathe and exhale that you are practicing mindful living. You're aware of your breath. You're aware of your surroundings. And from the path of purification, may I be peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit. May I be safe and free from injury. May I be free from anger, afflictions, fear, and anxiety. May I learn to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and love. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in myself. May I learn to identify and see the sources of anger, craving, and delusion in myself. May I know how to nourish the seeds of joy in myself every day. May I be able to live fresh, solid, and free. May I be free from attachment and aversion, but not to be indifferent. To love myself. Breathe and be in love. And bring your attention back to the room. And be aware that you're surrounded by loving friends. And feel renewed and fresh and in love. It's only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. Only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. Good morning, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here with all of you. And most, I want to say thank you to Reverend G for inviting me to be here with you. G and I became friends at Unity of Kalamazoo when she was a parishioner there, a few years before she was able to come out here. And I remember being here the Sunday that she was ordained and welcomed into your congregation. And I was so filled with tears that morning because I knew what a joyous, joyous experience that was for her, that was a culmination of something that she had dreamed of for a long, long time. And when I see her now and she talks of her congregation here in the church in Douglas, she's so thrilled and so happy, and I'm very happy that I can be here today to give her a break, to be away, be with her family, and talk to you about love. I titled my talk today, what did I title it? Spiritual relationships. Spirited relationships. I thought about that so long and now I forgot what it was, but very often when we're doing our spiritual work, we're very focused on ourselves and what we're doing and thinking. And sometimes it's a good reminder to bring that spiritual thinking and that activity into our relationships. Some of us are already in relationships, some of us looking for relationships, some people feeling very, very happy being independent in life, but still we all have relationships on some level with friends, family, loved ones, besides just a partner or spouse. So what I wanted to talk about was just some little reminders and some thought-provoking things to bring to you to think about how we approach the relationships in our life. The way I came upon this talk this morning, I had a quote come to me, and all of a sudden it just said, this is what you're supposed to talk about. The quote is from, excuse me, Sam Keen. Sam Keen, maybe best known for a book that he wrote called Fire in the Belly, which is about, he wrote it in probably the 90s about the men's movement, which I find the men's movement very interesting and some powerful stuff that men can take away and support the women in their lives. And this quote from Sam Keen says, "We come to love not by finding a perfect person, but by learning to see an imperfect person perfectly." And that is so true because we all have our imperfections, and so often in a relationship we get this idea that this person sitting across from us is supposed to be perfect and not make any mistakes and not make us suffer or jar us anyway. And that's not the truth of it. We come together to grow together. We learn from one another. And everything that good and bad comes through that relationship is an opportunity for us to grow. This winter, my husband and I, Doug, traveled down south. And during that time when we were down south, we visited an old friend of mine, Karen, in North Carolina. Karen and I used to live in California together, and we didn't live together, but we both lived in California. And I met Karen at a seminar almost 40 years ago that was put on by a man named Ken Keyes. If any of you remember the Handbook of Higher Consciousness and Ken Keyes, he was one of the forerunners of the activity that was going on at that time. And of course I lived in California, so we had to go to consciousness seminars and improve ourselves. But in visiting Karen, she reminded me of a lot of things that had happened that very first weekend when I met her at our first seminar. And one of the things that I suddenly realized was most of the things that I went to that seminar to learn had evolved into my current daily life. I went there to discover prosperity. I went there to discover love and relationship. I went there to discover who I was as a person. And although 40 years had transpired and a lot of other seminars and a lot of other self-help books, I suddenly realized I was truly living the life that I had always dreamed that was only for other people when I went to that first seminar. And a big part of it is the last 14 years in my relationship with my partner, Doug. Because finally and at last I found someone who was willing to share a spiritual journey with me, and for the two of us to grow together and support and lift one another up and bring one another along together. And so I feel very, very fortunate, and I bring that up to you now just to acknowledge him and to acknowledge to the universe the beauty that love can bring when you work it. It works when you work it. One of the things that I became aware of recently, and someone commented to me, was, who was that person in your life who said, you're not worth it, you're a worthless person, you're not a good person? All of us are carrying inside very probably some message that came to us from someone else, from the outside world, that tested our ability to love ourselves truly. And I think it's part of our journey, in our spiritual journey, to discover, where did that seed come from? Who was it? And very often in relationship, we blame it on the person in the relationship, the person across the table from us. When in actuality, when we stop and think about it, that was said to us a very long time ago, probably as a child, and very often it goes back to a parent or a teacher or some authority figure when we're a child. And instead of working on or blaming or punishing that relationship that we're in now, it's a good idea to stop and think and look back and discover, who was that voice that said that, and how wrong they were. They were absolutely wrong. They were talking about their stuff, not about our stuff. Another interesting story I heard recently that surprised me a lot was, a friend of mine told me that he had had a vasectomy when he was in his 20s because his father was such a violent person and he had grown up in such violent circumstances and lots of anger that he decided that he was never going to pass that on. And so, as a very young man, decided to have a vasectomy so that he would never have a child that he could pass that on to. Well, I think that's a very noble, wonderful thing, but I also think that those of us sitting here in this room today know that we can take those activities of our childhood and those things that happened to us that harmed us or messed us up, so to speak, and transform them through our spiritual lives and through our understanding of ourselves and our understanding of the people around us. I told you about that first seminar that I went to, and as I explored spiritual life out there when I was living in California, I discovered Unity by the Sea, which is the Unity in Santa Monica, California. Not every Unity's by a body of water, by the way, but a lot of them are. The one in Miami, Florida is practically on the water. Anyway, I discovered Unity, and Unity really spoke to me, as it probably did to a lot of you. The message is very, very simple. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, when they developed Unity, were very enamored of the teachings and the words of Jesus Christ, and so they started exploring it more and more, as you know, and they found a very simple message in all of it. Ultimately, it comes down to live your life as I did. Jesus said, this is what I think are some good ideas, and if you live this way, you'd probably have a better life. It would be very simple. I think sometimes in some of the more fundamental, extreme religions, maybe that statement, I am the way, they have taken to interpret some kind of big, grand scale thing of accepting Christ as my Redeemer and my Savior and blah, 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 that I don't quite understand or never rang in for me. But to understand I am the way in the sense of, if you behave the way I attempt to live my life and how I suggest to you, you probably will have a pretty good life too. And so I looked up on the Unity website, because it's been a while since I've been deeply involved in unity on a daily basis. And I was wondering what it said about unity and its principles and what it stands for. And on the Unity website it says, "Unity teaches that all people can improve the quality of their lives through thought. It describes itself as a positive, practical Christianity, which teaches the effective daily application of the principles of truth taught and exemplified by Jesus Christ, and promotes a way of life that leads to health, prosperity, happiness, and peace of mind." And I thought, those are all the reasons that I went to that first seminar. I really got my money's worth over the years. One of the things that I believe in very deeply and remind myself very often is the Socrates quote of, "The unexamined life is a life not worth living." And people in Unity examine life. That's why we all came here, I think, for the most part, because we're interested in looking into why did we do something, why did someone else do something, how can we be in touch with the spiritual principles in our life. But very often when we're out in the world, we interact with people who I choose to say they have an uninitiated life. They have not chosen to see themselves as a spiritual being or to see others as a spiritual being. And there's such peace that comes from understanding. And there's such peace that comes from not living the life that our parents maybe taught us to live, or that the television maybe teaches us to live, or the movies, but to actually make contact with that place inside of ourselves that is willing to love and willing to be loved. And that's why in my meditation this morning I chose to talk about loving ourselves first, because until we are able to love ourselves, there's no way to go out into the world and love someone else or to be loved. And then in the area of having a relationship, a couple of things that I wanted to just remind you of that I think are very important in having a good relationship. Some of the things that we maybe forget about because we just get involved in our daily life and doing the things that we do. I call it Sonny and Cher humor. If any of you are old enough, and I don't think any of you are probably, to remember Sonny and Cher on television. In fact, I went back and looked up one of their clips this week just to remind myself of what it was like. But very often relationships get into the habit of dealing with one another with Sonny and Cher type of humor. And what that means is mostly it's a series of put-downs. It's meant lovingly, I suppose. It's meant jokingly, I suppose. But ultimately it carries a message of, I really don't value you, or I really don't respect you. The clip that I looked up on YouTube the other day was Sonny was talking about how he said something and he said, "I'm really a wit." And Cher turned to him and said, "A dimwit." And when you look at the clips of their TV show, that was the kind of humor that went back and forth with them all the time. And I think they really loved one another very deeply. But that Sonny and Cher humor, if it creeps into your relationship, can be detrimental also. It shows a sort of lack of disrespect. One of the other things that I think, and this comes from the men's movement and the men's work that I've done, and maybe ladies don't know about it, and I'm sure men don't know about it, but I want to bring it up here because I think it's important in relationships. Very often when men feel, when something happens inside of them, the first thing they do is go to anger. The first step that a man will take when he feels an emotion will be to turn it into anger. And if you can stop and say, I don't think this is anger. Do I feel hurt? Do I feel sad? Do I feel betrayed? Do I feel something else? And it isn't necessarily that you feel angry or that you want to be angry at the person that you think you're attacking at the moment. So it's just, ladies, remind yourself that that man may be not as angry as he appears to be. He may be feeling lots of other emotions. And men, remind yourself that when you're expressing that anger, that maybe there's something else down in your heart. And take a moment and breathe and listen to yourself and say, what is that I'm really feeling? I don't think it's really anger. Another thing that I think is important to remind ourselves about, there are two words that I don't like, and I attempt to very, very seldom use them. The first one is need, and the second one is should. We've all talked a lot in our spiritual lives probably about the word should. Some people say, don't should on yourself. I should do this, I should do that. All of those things, we understand that. But there's another word that I think is also very, very important, and this word deals more with the other person or the other people outside of ourselves, and that is need. How often do you say, oh, she needs to take care of such and such, or she needs therapy, or he needs to make more money or take better care of his wife? Well, that's your judgment, and that's something that's coming from you. And need is not a very productive word when it comes to talking about someone else. Perhaps if you're willing to say, I need to do something, I will believe you. But if you tell me that I need to do something, you can be sure I'm not going to do it. When I was a child, my mother used to sing all the time. Not constantly, but I remember songs that my mother would go around the house singing while she was doing laundry or just doing something. And one of her songs, small repertoire, she only had about 3 or 4 songs that she did. But one that she did had such a powerful message in my life, I think, as a child, and I think it's a great song for all of us to carry through our lives and remind ourselves about. I'm going to sing it for you, just like my mother did. Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortune falling all over town. Be sure that your umbrella is upside down. Trade them for a package of sunshine and flowers. If you want the things you love, you must have showers. So when you hear it thunder, don't run under a tree. There'll be pennies from heaven for you and me. Thank you. And I love that song because it's such a beautiful reminder that the bad things in our life can be the best gifts that we've ever gotten. And I think all of us sometimes forget that. I try very hard on a rainy day to go around to my friends and family and my coworkers at work and say, isn't it a gorgeous day? This rain is so beautiful. Because we just have a tendency to say, oh, it's raining, what horrible weather, it's terrible. But to go back to the meaning of that song, every bad thing that I can think of that's happened in my life ultimately has evolved into a process of growth, understanding, and betterment of life. And just as The song says the flowers wouldn't bloom if we didn't have rain. We wouldn't bloom if we didn't have that suffering and the problems that we face. They make us better people. I have found that some of the most nurturing, beautiful experiences that I've had have been at funerals. Very often at funerals, people are very kind and loving to one another. They forgive and forget past things. Someone will hug someone else that hasn't hugged in years and years and years. So, to me, a funeral is very much an example of that pennies from heaven message, because even in losing someone, a lot of people may find one another. So you notice that next time you're at a funeral, how much more tender and beautiful everyone is to one another. As I move into the final phase of my talk with you this morning, I appreciate very much the writings of Thich Nhat Hanh, and I came upon one of his writings in a video that I was watching, and then I had a couple of books on my desk when I was preparing this lesson today, and I picked up this one book, and I opened up and thumbed through a few pages, and all of a sudden I discovered that thing that I had just seen on video was there in the book. So once again I decided this is probably something that I ought to share with you guys. And it's very beautiful, and it's about relationships, and it goes back to the idea that we talked about in the meditation of loving ourselves first. But then when we actually get in the relationship, and remember again, this is relationship one-on-one, person to person, not necessarily love type relationship, but certainly it can be. And he calls these the 4 pathways to relationship or love. Number 1, to say or share with your loved one, "Darling, I am here for you." Can you imagine, as a partner of someone, coming to you and say, "Darling, I am here for you"? How nurturing and wonderful and fulfilling that can be. And how often do we do it? Sometimes, once in a while, but maybe not always at the most difficult times. And those are the times when it's a good idea to try it. The second part of this 4-phase step is, "Darling, I know you are there, and I am very happy. To be loved and to be recognized is so fulfilling. Darling, I know you are there, and I am very happy." Makes me feel good just to say those words. The next part is maybe a little more deep into the relationship, and saying, "Darling, I know that you suffer. That is why I am here for you." To be acknowledged that the person that you dearly care about recognizes your suffering, recognizes your sadness, recognizes your troubles, brings you so much closer together. And once again, back to the idea of the funeral, it's very difficult to know what to say to someone when you go to a funeral. The old "I'm sorry for your loss" is lovely, but it's somewhat shallow and difficult. But just to say to someone, "I know that you suffer," or "I know that this is a difficult time for you," or just to listen and hold their hand and let them know that you are there, is possibly the most tender and meaningful thing that you can do at that given time. And the fourth and final step of the 4 phases that he recommends is when you are suffering yourself, and you can say to your loved one, "Darling, I suffer." I suffer. I can't be alone with this. Very often we'll go to our room and fret and turn it all inside and turn it in on ourselves. And they did this to me and they did that to me and it's their problem and they're making me suffer. But if we can say to them, darling, I suffer, please help me. What a different step that brings in our lives. What a different route we take after that, saying that thing. So I'm going to repeat those once more. Darling, I am here for you. Darling, I know you are there. Darling, I know you suffer. And darling, I suffer, please help me. In the year 2000, my partner and I had a commitment ceremony at our church in Kalamazoo. And the minister gave us a charge that day. She said, I want you to wake up every morning and say to one another, I love you. Thanks be to God. And for 14 years, we have done that every morning, with the exception of maybe 6 times that one of us were out of town, or I think there might have been twice that we forgot to do it. But it has made such a monumental difference in this relationship compared to any other relationship I've had in my life, because we take just that brief second every morning to acknowledge the importance of one another and to say, I love you, and to hear it back to ourselves, I love you, and to look one another in the eyes and know that this is perfection for the moment. I hope this week each one of you has the opportunity to love yourself, to think about what a beautiful person you are, and to share with someone else that they are important to you and that you find them dear. And know that you are very special and very important in the world. And whoever said you're worthless was very wrong. You're very loved and very beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. What a beautiful message of love that you've brought to us today.
Thank you.
We are grateful. At this time, let us share our offertory affirmation. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am thankful. And now we are once again blessed with beautiful music.
I think this is one of the most beautiful patriotic songs ever. So sing with me.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar, mine. a song of peace for their land and for mine. This is my prayer, O God of all earth's kingdoms. Thy kingdom come, on earth thy will be done. Let love be lifted up till all shall know it, and hearts unite, learn to live as one. Oh, hear my prayer, thou God of all the nations. Thyself I give thee, let thy will be done.
The abundance of the universe flows through unity on the lake shore, becoming manifest. And we say, thank you, thank you, thank you, amen.
At this time, let's see if we can create a circle, a nice big circle, as we share together our prayer for protection and the peace song.